So, how prepared is a high school graduate just out of their senior prom, ready to choose a major that's going to decide their career field for the rest of their lives? The answer is they're not ready. They end up choosing majors every few times, drinking themselves to an oblivion, partying, stumbling through each semester for that coveted piece of vanilla colored paper that's going to get them in the door of a job they may not even want to do. Is this problematic? I say yes. I will be presenting the advantages our country will gain if we implement a 2-year public service requirement for high school graduates. So this policy is advantageous and constructive for our society, and it needs to be implemented as soon as possible. So I'm going to persuade you into believing how this could work. I will explain what the policy is, how we could pay for it, evidences on the advantages, and how it will combat racism, and overall get our young adults ready for the real world. So what is the policy? The policy is a 2-year involvement in civil service, a mandatory involvement, working in any type of sector that deals with helping the community. We have the police department, fire department, the health service sector, beautifications, parks and rec. We have new systems that we could implement where we have psychological evaluations where we go into the homeless communities and encampments and do psychological evaluations and get these homeless people help and get their lives back together and get dirt off the streets, make our communities better by young Americans with this program. They would learn real world work. Those who would never work a day in their life, who's been pampered their entire lives, will have the opportunity to actually get down and dirty and learn what a real job is. They will learn how to become leaders, followers. There will be incentives for students who become leaders. And of course, through all of this, there will be a dormitory where they could stay at, get shelter, and get food. Students from all over the United States would work together for a common good, gaining real-world experiences. Each of them would gain a mentor for their job and sector. This mentor would not only help with their job and sector, but they would also help with real-world adult problems like insurance, taxes, tire changing stuff, oil changing stuff, real-world issues that nobody knows how to deal with out of high school, that parents don't always teach their kids this. And this would be a policy and implementation that would help our young Americans become better adults straight out of high school and not just try and learn everything themselves. So this program has also great opportunities to expedite citizenship for asylum seekers and undocumented immigrants, just like the military does. When I was in boot camp, during our boot camp graduation, we had ceremonies where we had a few people from South America and Africa who were here on short-term visas gain complete citizenship for their military service. So this could be a middle ground for Democrats and Republicans that they could pass in Congress that could give asylum seekers citizenship, full American citizenship. And I think that would be an amazing opportunity. But how are we going to pay for this? You have these dormitories, they're going to be fed. Okay, we all saw those pie charts of how the tax money is spent in our country. And the military is over half of it. We got to get out of Yemen, get out of Syria. But I know how the budget works. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years. How the military budget works is that in battalions, they are given a budget. And if they do not spend over the budget or exactly on the budget, their budget is cut for the next fiscal year in October. And according to a CNN article, the Air Force spent $326,000 on coffee mugs in 2016. That's $700 a cup. And that's what they're doing. They're meeting their budget so it doesn't get cut. So military reform, the industrial military complex needs to be fixed. And by that, we would have enough money for healthcare, not only this system. This policy is actually not as far-fetched and unrealistic as you may think. The Universal National Service Act of 2003 in the United States almost implemented this exact same policy and changes in our country, but it escaped a narrow vote from just a few congressmen. Okay, according to the CIA, World Factbook, 26 countries have a mandatory service requirement already implemented. Poland, Germany, Russia, China, Sweden, and Greece all become with positive results. I can't get into it. I don't have time in this speech, but all with positive results after the implementation. According to a New York Times article, many states such as Maryland have high school community service requirements implemented already with positive outcomes as well. In a study done in Boston, in the Boston area school district, they did a mandatory community service requirement, and the students that did the mandatory, or it wasn't mandatory, it was voluntary, but it was an experiment done. So the students that actually did the community service ended up doing more community service after high school and voting more compared to the ones that did not do the community service requirement. The ones that did not do the community service, none of them did community service after, no, and less than voted. Okay? And this was in the same article. Moving on to the next topic, civil service programs will help the division in our country establish unity and provoke some pride of belonging from people who don't really, for people who feel out of place. Okay, this is a great opportunity for diversity training at a young age. You know, high school graduates from all over the state, from different skin colors, ethnicities, belonging, would come together for a common good and a common interest. Since in the military, there was people that were racist that I was encountering. People from rural America that never seen a black person before. They come in the military, we work together. They figure out that we're all just people and they get along. It's these racist ideologies that can be solved through this type of diversity training. And it's a tremendous opportunity for us to come together and stop racism early through diversity training. It would be a great opportunity for our country. And what do we have now? So what we have now is we have AmeriCorps, a corporation who has a 13-month project, completely unpaid, no shelter, no food, rewards $5,000 upon completion after a year. This new policy would offer similar benefits to the GI Bill. So what the GI Bill does is gives full college tuition and monthly stipends for rent and books. So why does it only have to be the military? Why can't it be other civil work? Firefighters, police departments, beautification. If we offer time into these types of situations, it would offer other opportunities and other avenues after high school for kids to actually figure out what they want to do. So I spoke upon about these policies, how they could generate a better generation of young adults, as well as how common this policy is around the world. Finally explain how we could, gain a lot through this mandatory service. Our young adults would have the opportunity to learn what they actually want to do. Some of them may even go into their little internship that they did for the requirement and do the career in that. Or just have time to think and understand how a job works. It's a very complex subject, and I'd like to talk about it more. But I want to leave you with this. One of my favorite presidents, JFK, John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country could do for you, but what you can do for your country. So my time's up. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day.